Okay, hello everyone. I think we are live. Please let me know in the chat whether you can hear me okay. By the looks of it, I think my computer says yes, everybody can hear you, but I just wanted to be sure, right? I mean, I've had this problem before, but welcome to my live stream. We are officially live and kicking, and today was going to be one of the last live streams in the next 2 weeks. But I will have premieres where you will have a video of me and then I'll be online, but I just cannot, I'll be in a different country, so I cannot really do a live stream. But you will get the same like 1 hour content at the agreed dates, just later on. Anyway, so this is like, okay, Johan, thank you so much. Yeah, we can hear you. And Marlena says, yes, we can hear you. So let's get this started. First, let's have a look at our supplies. So I did this tiny illustration a while back, and the funny part is I did it on hot press paper. I have no idea why I chose hot press paper because I'm not a big fan of hot press paper. But I was, I wanted to do some more witchy stuff, and this is actually the witches and stuff, probably what we should be talking right now, and maybe we'll be talking to the whole month of October. But this is something that I wanted to do. And by the way, I bought some watercolors, and they came with this kind of dots of watercolors that I actually wanted to try. And I'm not sure I will try the brown because I'm not really seeing brown in this equation. But I wanted to try this kind of nice purple, a purple pinkish. It looked really nice. It's called Warrior. It's from Kimit, Kimit. You can find her on Etsy, I think, and so on. But anyway, that was just a tiny thing. Then what I have here is I have my tiny palette, which is the Schminke Super Granulating plus some Daniel Smith reds and some Schminke yellows here, right? So these are all the super granulating ones. This is the Galaxy set, the Tundra set, and then the Forest set, which is all greens and nice. And then I also have my Graphite Tint set here. This is technically not watercolor, but there's ink, soluble inks. It's a soluble inks, so that's what we're gonna be using. Alternatively, I have some white gouache because I'm pretty sure I'm going to need it. I want to add some details onto this one, onto the nice teapot. So we were spilling tea, right? And this is what we're gonna talk about. And now that I said, what I have a number 5 and a number 2 brush, not really anything interesting there. Just for you all to kind of see what I have. Okay. So yeah, let's get into it. I'm just gonna start painting and then we're gonna do it. The topic for today was kind of witches, but also to spill the tea on all these kind of romance novels. And let me get into it. I've been reading a lot lately, and I've been obsessed. There's some apps online. I'm not gonna name which apps because I'm not making any publicity for them or anything. I'm just saying that there's apps online and there's some random stuff happening. And then I'm going to start with the crystals, by the way. And they have a lot of, let's say, stories, and the stories all center around the Omegaverse. And for those of you who don't know what the Omegaverse is, lucky you. I'm going to start reading. So Omegaverse is all sorts of stories that are centered around anything to do with vampires, witches, you name it, right? Supernatural kind of fantasy. This is kind of what Omegaverse is all about. And everybody can build up this world. And of course it has a lot more details and sometimes more more interesting, more not safe for work details, let's put it this way. Right? But in general, it's all about werewolves, witches, magic, and so on, right? Dragons sometimes, all this sort of fantasy romance novels, right? And it's okay. I mean, romance novels should exist, and they're pretty nice, and I have nothing against them. And I've been reading them because they can be quite addictive, let's put it this way. But I noticed some commonality or common weird things with them. And this is actually what I wanted to talk about, because they seem to be, of course, with the exception of just a few of them, they seem to be centered around the US. And I think it has many elements of that culture. Of course, I don't live there, so I'm just making assumptions here. But there's let's take some examples, right? There's always the story about finding your fated mate, and this is where I have the biggest interesting problem with, fated mate. So apparently, everybody in this supernatural world, they get born and they have a fated mate, a person that is supposedly your other half, and then you're supposed to love them unconditionally from the moment you lay eyes on them, and then you can never hurt them, and they're your soulmates, and all sorts of random things happen. So at least that is the premise of a fated mate. So you have absolutely no choice in it. I mean, theoretically, they say that you have a choice. In theory, you have a choice to reject your mate, but then, of course, there's dire consequences if you do so, aka you don't get a second chance and you'll be all alone forever. And why would you reject somebody if, a higher power has decided that that person is the best person for you? And this is the first thing that I have a problem with, right? Like, okay, so apparently there's this higher power that knows best, and they're pairing you with somebody, and you cannot really fight this. I mean, some people can fight it, but you cannot really fight this mate bond. And I'm like, okay, so assume that I get fated with somebody, whoever that might be. Fine, let's assume that I'm a werewolf and I get fated to somebody, and stuff happens. What I don't understand in all the stories, they actually have struggles. So if this bond is supposed to be so awesome, and everything is supposed to be like it's fated and you guys are made for each other and so on, why do so many of them struggle? And why do so many of them have troubles? And of course, there's always also the flip side of the coin. Of course, there's always going to be cheating involved, and so on. So if it's indeed something that you can't control, it's your fated mate, you're supposed to love them unconditionally no matter what they do, and you cannot hurt them. Why would that be cheating in this world, right? Because that doesn't sound like the story of the fated mates, right? That sounds like they're just normal people and they have normal struggles. There's nothing magical about it, right? Because if indeed that would have been what it was supposed to be, then all of these struggles shouldn't be there, right? They should struggle about something else, and not about being jealous of each other or other stuff. Because you know, if it's a fated bond, then it's a fated bond. Okay, so that's the one of the things that I'm like, I just don't understand, you know, the concept. I don't understand why would that be, you know, why would you go against such a thing? Everybody that gets mated or fated or whatever, they seem to like, the age differs from when you find out till, you know, when you meet. Like some, you know, when you're 18, you're gonna find out who your fated mate is. Fine. Some take it a step further and it's quite early, in like 16 or so on. This is why I'm thinking, okay, that sounds more of an like an American version of things, because it really does sound like that. I might be wrong. I might not. You know, I don't know. But that is something that really, I'm not gonna say bothers me, but in a way, yeah. I mean, how can you make a lifelong decision? So, you know, there's the second part. You know, the minute you are finding your mate, all you wanna do is produce offspring, right? And I'm like, you know, these are kids we're talking about, and these are you know, interesting choices to have when you're, let's say, 16 or 18. It seems like you're way too young to be thinking about this, and way too young to even contemplate any of it. So I'm really not sure why this fascination with having kids as soon as possible, right? So basically they get to know each other, and within, let's say, 5 to 10 days max. Like I have not heard of a story that takes more than that. You know, they're pretty much in love, and they're pretty much all set, and you know, they're already pregnant or something like that. And I'm like, wow, that is fast decision here. that just that just doesn't necessarily all compute, you know. So yeah, I have issues with it. It's weird how addictive it is. I have no idea why it is so addictive, but it is weird how addicted it is, but how wrong it can sound when you're just reading it, right? And there's like, okay, there are these packs, and they live in a pack, and you know, they're warriors, and they fight other packs, and you know, they just behave like, when I'm talking about werewolves, like wolf pack. And I'm like, okay, it has been disproven time and time again that wolves are not operating like that. Right? That the rules, and the, not only the rules, but the roles are quite fluid in a pack, right? It's not like you're an alpha forever, or you're never gonna grow to be more than the lowest ranks in the pack. And you know, if you're a lower rank, then all you can do is clean for the pack and do stuff. Like, it seems like to me like either a cult society, what we're expressing. So I'm just wondering, all these people that write these novels, you know, were they part of some sort of cult? Is such a thing actually normal in that area, and in you know, all of these parts where this is happening? It could be that it's something very normal that I'm just not understanding, right? Another thing that I found interesting, and then we're gonna talk about the witches and all of that stuff, but there's some other thing that I find interesting is, and maybe it's because I never had it here, but this concept of, you know, you become friends. Let's say that you come to a new pack, and then there's all these other females, and then you become friends, and then they help you, and then, you know, they'll come and do your makeup. And like, is there something that I totally missed in my growing up, or I've never witnessed it, like this kind of camaraderie, where it's not even camaraderie, but it's kind of like a community group thing where they help you with, you know, hairdo, makeup, going shopping, and so on. Like, I'm living now in the Netherlands, right? Making friends that would ever do that for me would be extremely difficult in the Netherlands. Like, in all my years here, 14 years, I don't think I got anywhere near close to anybody in here that that would do that. Like, this is not, so this is where I'm thinking that all of these ideas, they come from, they are very much inherent from America. They are much coming from there, because I haven't seen that in Europe, and I've been in many European countries, right? This making friends so easy within a few days, and them being your best buddies, and the girls that will help you with anything, and they will, you know, like, that doesn't happen here. You have to work really hard in here to get to that level. So, you know, maybe this is why I just cannot see myself in those positions, and I cannot, not even see myself, but not necessarily understand that point of view. Okay. However, it's still fun to read, right? So I've been reading a lot of them, and it's also very fun to read about things like witches and wizards and warlocks, and, you know, powers, and how do you come into the powers, and so on. And, you know, I have to give it to some of these books that I'm reading, you know, they're quite okay. I mean, the plots, some of the plots are really lacking. Like, I can already tell you from the beginning who the bad guy is and why it's happening, and so on. Like, I see that. But some of the plots are quite okay. They are quite intriguing. And it's always the same, right? Like, there's this girl or there's this guy. They've been destined for greatness since, I don't know, since they were born, and they've been fated for great things. But, you know, they need to overcome 10 million obstacles to be able to fulfill their destiny. And again, there's this whole destiny talk that, you know, is happening, and destiny seems to be very important in this type of books. And I'm like, okay, I personally believing in destiny, that is not something that I normally would do. You know, you make your own life. You are the owner of your own reality. So, you know, there's not, and maybe this is just my view, but, you know, again, destiny this, destiny that, not much into the choice for the people involved, right? And, you know, that could be fine in that context, but I don't know. I would love to see a book with a really badass character, doesn't matter, male, female, or whatever, that just go like, I'm going to show the finger to this destiny thing, and I'm not going to care anymore about it, you know? Like, that would be probably so cool if you would see, like, oh, destiny is telling me I need to be that, or I need to do that. Like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that. I don't want to save the world and, you know, be responsible for all of this stuff. I just want to be me. And I, for example, want to open a coffee shop or something, and you know, be okay with it. Another another thing that I don't necessarily, I'm not gonna say agree with, but yeah, I don't agree with in all of this. By the way, this is just the first layer that I'm doing here. So, you know, these are just the crystals. And then I'm going to decide what color the teapot is. Maybe you guys can give me some ideas what colors the teapot, because the crystals are very nice and colorful. And I'm going to do the leaves and the flowers, and then I'm going to focus on the teapot. I think I want the background to be this funny color. I want to do that. So maybe let's try the background first, and then we can decide. Let's see if that works. Because the worst thing is you do a background at the end and then you ruin the whole thing. So this is also very shimmery, so this should be very nice, you know, but I need to wet it. So yeah. Okay, another part is always the heroine or the guy. It could be two, right? 90% of the time, or maybe 95% of the time, of course, they are like, it's kind of like the Cinderella story, right? They don't come, they had a very poor upbringing, they had to struggle their whole lives, and to, you know, make do. And their fated mate is somebody that is really well off, probably a millionaire. I mean, the number of millionaires that I've seen, like, okay, the most incredible part is like all of these werewolves, right? They are like all billionaires, whatever you want them to think. Like, they have no problem with money, you know. Basically, that's the whole reason. And I'm like, how is it possible that all these governments, I mean, maybe I shouldn't be surprised that the governments just don't notice this. I mean, all of these guys and all of these packs, and these people live in packs, and these people live in houses in these communities, right? As whether they're vampires or whatever, right? They live there, and it looks like having their own cities and so on. How are the authorities not able to sniff them out? I mean, if I pay in here, like I forget to check out of the train, and I forget to properly check out, and then there's hell to pay. They fine me for that €5 me forgetting to check out when I exit and so on, right? But these big communities with werewolves and so on, they're just like there. And I was just wondering, how does that work? You know, how is law enforcement finding the little guy and this big guy is not? You know, I always find it funny. I always find it like very suspicious. I don't know how to best describe it other than very, very, very suspicious in my view, right? And okay, you can tell me now, oh, probably they use magic or whatnot. I'm like, man, some of these stories say, oh, my pack has, you know, a couple of thousand of people living, and their kids, and they have schools, and they have all that stuff, and they have to go and get a degree because, you know, they can become doctors and lawyers and stuff. And I'm like, how are they keeping all of this a secret, man? How I don't understand. Anyway, you know, back to our story. So all of these heroes and heroines and so on, they always get paired up with somebody that is way well off, right? And then them, and then, you know, they get, oh, I never bought so many clothes in my life. Oh my God, you gave me your credit card and I'm spending you know, tons of money, and I've never spent that much money in my life. And, you know, they're not very used to it, and you know, there's big drama there because she wants to buy, I don't know, a pair of jeans, and then she can spend all this money. You know, lots of drama about people that are poor, that never afforded to buy anything, and now they can, and, you know, they get traumatized by it. I'm like, okay, it's not like I'm coming from money, but let's assume that I cannot unlimited spend how much I want every time I want, right? I'm just trying to consider what I would do in that situation. Like, let's say I meet this billionaire, millionaire, whatever, chieftain, and he's like, oh, here's my credit card, go and spend and do some shopping, right? I'll be like, I don't think I will have that much problem, right? First of all, I wouldn't go to the mall or anywhere, but I'll be like, okay, internet shopping is my friend, right? I will do a lot of that. So, you know, interesting sides. But I'm thinking, even though I'm not used to spending that much, right? I'm like, why would it be such a plot construct to anybody? Because it's like, it's just money. It's not like you can spend it all on everything, because, to be honest, I mean, let's be honest, if you look at the clothing that all of these big, assuming that you go and you buy only Gucci or, you know, whatever, first of all, with my body type, nothing would fit me from these high-end people. Like, I would still have to go and buy from the H&Ms and so on. Okay, going way off tangent, right? So, and secondly, like, why would I all of a sudden go and spend money on something that I never previously did, right? Like, once you are born, not born, but once you are used in a certain way, why would they think that you would go and all of a sudden become a very big spender and not caring about money? I think the lessons that, at least I'm trying to convince myself that the lessons that I learned by myself about, you know, budgeting and all of that stuff, I'm not just gonna all of a sudden throw it out the window and just not care anymore just because somebody gives me their credit card or whatever, right? I don't know. It's all very, very unlikely. And, you know, like, when you're reading science fiction sometimes, right, there's still an element of unlikeliness, but because it's science fiction, you know, you kind of go like, okay, that could be possible somewhere in the future. But these stories, because they take place in the now, right, they take place in the 2020s and so on, it makes them even more unlikely. And then all I can think of when I'm reading, and maybe that is why they've become so I've become so addicted to them, right? Because maybe I'm just trying to see how unlikely is this to ever have happened, right? The more I'm reading, the more I'm thinking, okay, definitely there is no magic or no werewolves or no nothing in this world, because there's no way they could get away with all of that, right? No matter how much I would like to believe in such a thing in real life, I don't think that's possible. Let's be honest here. On the other side, it's good fun. It's funny. Sometimes there are funny puns, there are funny things, right? It's okay. The most interesting ones are the ones about, I guess, about witches and so on. And now that we're entering the realm of, oh, Halloween is coming and all of that stuff, you know, I get even more excited about these kind of stories on witches and wizards and so on. And most of the stories that I actually enjoy are not the stories where, you know, you have unlimited power, or you have you're so powerful, you can do any spell or anything. Like, for any power that you get, I do believe there should be consequences, right? And they should be used sparingly. And I don't think you should get a high pass to say, well, I can do anything because, you know, I'm a witch and etc. etc. Sometimes they lose that part, right? They don't make it believable. I mean, any power, if you don't work for it, I mean, it looks like this, like somebody gets a power and they're destined for greater, and their destiny says that there will be a powerful witch or wizard or whatever, right? But they don't necessarily work for it, and this is maybe something that I don't necessarily enjoy in all of this. The fact that they're not really working for it. They're just given this power, and all they need to do is learn how to use it, which feels a bit, I don't know. We are all professional here, and we all have a career, probably all of us, that we have learned, and it took us quite a long time and many sleepless nights and many years of studying to get to where we are. And it certainly feels not nice when you just get somebody that goes like, oh yeah, I'm destined for this, and you know, I was born with this power, and you know, all I have to do is learn how to use it and make the correct choices or whatever. It just feels weird, okay? I'm just saying it. I don't know if you noticed this color. This color is a combination of a blue and a purple, and where I'm sitting, right, it actually looks really nice. But maybe on the screen you only see it as, do you actually see the blue and everything else? Because that is really nice. I'm actually considering whether I should add some blue in the corners and stuff. Yeah, let's try to do that. That will be fun to see how that reacts. Okay. So, now okay. This color is also super granulating. It's really nice. I just wanted to give it a little bit more oomph, so it's not the same color everywhere. Yeah, that's why I'm coming. It looks really nice from here too. Oh, okay, so you can see it. Okay, that's good. I was getting worried there for a moment that you cannot see it. I like mixing them also, so you know. Okay. I think this one is also I think I forgot this crystal here. This tiny crystal, I forgot it. So I just want to do the tiny details as well. Okay, these are all kind of leaves and stuff. Let me see if I missed anything. I will assume that that's a petal. No. Okay, so far so good. We will see at the end if we need to do anything more, like if we need to add different colors, maybe some greens and some stuff in the whole background. But for now it looks really nice, and it's really shimmery, and I really like that. It's good that I did it. Okay, what should we start first with? Should we start with the flowers or with the leaves? Actually, I was thinking more. I'm going to use this palette and I'm going to do the eucalyptus first. And on the eucalyptus, I'm going to use the first thing is going to be I have two colors, and one is a blue-green, and I want to use the blue-green, and then I'll use a yellow for the other leaf. And that leaf is going to be blue-green here, see? And this one also. Oh, some cars I can hear. Some cars are really nice. Okay. As for magic in all of these worlds, like magic is everything, magic is everywhere. People do magicy stuff, right? And they're fighting. Magic seems to be many different types, right? Of course, there's healing magic, and there's you know, combat magic in a way, and I haven't found in any of these Omega verses a witch that is more like, you know, the witch is like you find in Discworld or something, right? Like the persons that are actually the women that are actually very, very smart, and they don't actually have to cast any spells because, you know, they're more like, how would you call them? Mentalists rather than witches, right? These witches usually just have the powers, and that's kind of it. But it's nice. I like mostly the ones that deal with herbs and potion making and so on, because I believe that is a really interesting thing. That actually, that part of witchcraft could be actually achievable even in our world, right? I mean, I don't know if you watch a lot of YouTube videos, but I like to watch, let's say, people that claim they are witches in our world, and they go like, what they actually are herbalists, right? So they are pretty much herbalists, and they know their herbs, and they do a lot of herbal medicines and all of that stuff, right? It's not like they have magic power, they just know stuff, okay? This is the extent of my explanation that goes like that. They just know stuff. It's always funny to explain it like this. And at least that part seems achievable. The other parts with actual magic, I don't know, man. I don't know if... I am not sure if there will be any physical system where magic will be an allowed thing to manifest. I mean, you might think like, okay, but if you go to other planets, maybe magic exists there. But magic means subverting the laws of nature by, you know, different means. And I'm not sure that you can, right? It will take tremendous amount of power. Oh yeah, there was this Kyrgyzstan video where they would debunk, like, okay, what will happen if, one example was, what will happen if there really would be somebody that can turn everything in touch by gold? So, and you know, they were going like, okay, what if the entire planet all of a sudden gets turned into gold because somebody has gold fingers? And you know, that definitely can happen, right? Like, why not? And yeah, that was an interesting that would be a very interesting thing that that we would go like, okay, how would that work? And then they would explain the physics of it. So even if the transformation into gold will happen by magic, like everything magically gets transformed, right? Assuming somebody has this power and it will happen by magic, still the laws of physics will kick in, and then, you know, basically the entire planet will implode because, you know, gold has a higher density and everything. So the thing out of it to take is that nothing comes for free, even magic, right? There are dire consequences even of using magic, because nothing is for free according to our laws of nature, right? So I mean, I like more, like if you look at the Lord of the Rings and Tolkien and so on, you know, you always asked yourself why, like, if Gandalf could use, you know, a lot of magic and he would use his stuff and all of that stuff, you know, why doesn't he do it more often? Why aren't more things happening there on that front? And the answer was that, you know, magic in general has consequences, and, you know, it's the law of conservation. You cannot just make something out of thin air. You have to give something in return, right? And most probably the only thing you can give in return, so it's just the transformation, the only thing you can give is part of your soul, or, you know, things like that. Yeah, that, you know, that is a tough question, whether or not magic can actually exist in the world. I was just wondering what should I do the flowers with. That is so interesting. In the meantime, let's do the leaves. By the way, this is just a tryout, but it's a fun tryout, right? This illustration, I just wanted to do something witchy, and I was just imagining a funny witch brewing some tea, but then she doesn't use fire. She puts her teapot on these crystals, and the crystals are channeling energy, and that's why they are, you know, that's why the tea gets done, or like you can take it as it is. So this was my idea. Of course, now I'm trying totally different colors that maybe normally I would never have tried, or color combinations that I will normally never have tried. So maybe not everything works together. I think I've decided the teapot to be super blue, dark blue. Okay, so that would stand out against everything else. And yeah, I think I need a little bit more of the background color, because look, I forgot here in between the teapot and this flower to do anything. Okay, that was looking weird. And I'm using the Tundra green here, by the way. And I am much more careful than normal because this is hot press. So yeah. Anyway, where were we? Oh yeah, the books and the witches and everything else. One other thing about it is this living forever or living for a very long time. Let's take vampires, for example, since we are, you know, approaching, again, we are approaching Halloween and all that stuff, so vampires pretty much are everywhere. And it's like they get to live for 1,000 years or 2,000 years or anything. And I was remembering this this thought process of, okay, what if you get to live to 1,000 or something, in theory that could be, but the problem is the older you get, the more accidents can happen, right? So it doesn't, like, you having the misfortune, for example, of let's say that in a normal lifetime of 70 years, you live till you're 70. Okay, this is your normal lifetime. In a normal lifetime, you have, let's say, a 2% chance that, or a 5% chance that by the time you're gonna be 70, you're gonna have all your limbs intact, right? Or like due to accident, let's say work, you lose your leg, or you lose an arm, or you lose anything, right? So people calculated how will it look like if you were to live till 1,000 years old, 2,000 years old, 3,000 years old, and the risk of you having lost all of your limbs by the time you're like 3,000 years old is very high. So basically they're saying that it doesn't matter if old age doesn't necessarily end you. What matters is that there are many other accidents that will make your life miserable. Like you will live to 3,000 years old, but you're not gonna have all of your all of your arms and all of your legs and all of the stuff. Then the second part is, your memory. Your memory is, let's say, it's not infinite. You cannot remember everything, let's say, forever. And this is something that actually can work in your disadvantage if you live to 3,000 years old, because you're going to have to start choosing, and we don't know if you can, right, which memories you want to keep and which memories you're going to let go so that you can still function. I'm not going to say still function in society, but still function and still be able to function on a day-to-day, right? As in, you will not be able to remember everything, and it's gonna be even harder to recall things from the past. So the question is, what does living for such a long time actually do to you? Then there's the issue of let's put it this way. Well, if you live for such a long time, that's okay. But imagine this, you get a mate that is your fated mate for forever. As in, for all eternity. Isn't that pretty boring? I'm just asking. Like, can you imagine, like, for 3,000 years, you're gonna be fated and mated with that one person? It's not even a question of being boring, but I'm just questioning the feasibility. I think that whoever is that vampire, if they're not getting crazy by the time, they are already a couple of 100 years old, then I don't know what to believe. There used to be, so there was this book, my first science fiction book that I ever read, and it was called The Nova Victims. So it was a story about what happened, like there was this supernova in one solar system, and it follows the story of the displacement of these people and how they reach other planets and how they forget where they come from, because by the time other colonies reach to them, it's a little bit too late, and then they forget in a couple of 100 years where they've been, what happened. And yeah, it all sounds it all sounds very nice until there is a caveat, right? They send some agents there to that world where a lot of the survivors still live, but they kind of reverted to this medieval kind of setting, because they didn't have access to everything anymore for hundreds of years. And they send this girl in there, and she gets paid in time, as in, okay, she will do her work to save these people, and then as her payment, she gets to be made young again, and she gets to live longer. But the funny part is that in there they say that even for the highest paid, the maximum allowed of payment in time is 500 years. So they say that more than 500 years, it is too hard on the brain or on everybody to live further than that. And I kind of tend to believe, like, if you have to believe for 1,000 years, can you imagine, I don't know, I would say the boredom and everything that comes with it. I would say this is gonna be very very debatable. People will say, I would like to live 1,000 years, and I'm like, are you sure you want to live 1,000 years? Because to me that sounds like a long time, like a really long time. Like, how would you deal with the mental problems that arise from surviving for so long? That sounds like not something I would like to figure out. Okay, maybe me going very dark with the colors on the crystals and everything wasn't the brightest idea, the brightest of them all, because the flowers don't really stand out anymore. But we cannot turn back time, and this is a lesson for all of you, right? When you do watercolor, that's kind of it. You don't turn back time anymore. That's it. You don't have you cannot lighten things up, or you can, but very hard. So that's gonna be interesting. Okay, of course I have to come with highlights, and I have to darken a lot of this stuff here, but we're gonna get there. Okay. I was actually thinking that I probably need some juice, but okay, we'll figure it out. I think I'm talking too much. Tomorrow I also have to go to work, so that's gonna be interesting. So what was I saying? Yeah, I'm going to go in a little adventure in the next 2 weeks for work. I'm gonna go to a different country. I haven't been to a different country in so long. I mean, in a very long time. So I don't even remember how that is. Truth be told, it's gonna be interesting. Okay, now I'm starting to darken some things up. Okay, I'm doing some glazing, basically, like a second layer of things, because these crystals are a bit washed out. So let's do some second layers. And where am I going? I'm going to Copenhagen. Copenhagen is in Denmark. I've never been. It will be my first time going there. It's gonna be fun. I'm gonna probably meet a lot of new people. And I am going to try to, of course, continue my drawing. But because I'm going there, I probably won't be able to post live because I don't know what the internet is there. Like the internet, it's probably gonna be okay. But I don't know if I can support live stream. And of course, I'm not going with my good camera with me and so on because that's a bit overkill. So yeah, that's why I'm going to just film some things and hope for the best. Tum 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 tum. But the one good thing about Copenhagen is I found that they have quite some art shops, so I will definitely visit some of the art shops and I will definitely do some spending there. So I'm having space in my bags just for that. I know it's weird. People will probably think I'm crazy, but you know, you can never pass up an opportunity to, you know, do some art shopping. Okay, I probably need to add highlights with and white dots and stuff everywhere, but that should be fine. I really want some alizarin crimson. Yep. Worst case scenario, there's not gonna be any interesting videos. That could be in the next 10 days. And then you guys are gonna have to watch me on Instagram because probably I'll post there. But that's all fine. Okay. I wonder what palette should I bring with me to Copenhagen. Which one of them? Because I'm not very sure. I am not very sure. Okay. This red flower should be here also, I think. Okay. Let's try to do some alizarin crimson here. Oh, almost made a boo-boo. My cats are sleeping around me and they're sleeping really nicely. My two cats were it looks like I'm a witcher. Like every witch usually has a cat or two, and I also have two cats. So technically, does that technically make me a witch if I say I have cats? I'm just wondering. I have familiars, or that doesn't make me a witch. I just want to know. You know, the thing is, I did this on hot press, and on hot press the merging of colors is very different than on cold press. On cold press I could do like really light gradients because the color doesn't, like, I can put more color on the paper and then I can pick it up really fast, and then it doesn't make such a big difference. But because this is hot press, then the color gets absorbed way faster than normal, and then I don't think I am able to do such a nice smooth gradient as I wanted. So I think all in all I do prefer to work with cold press in the end. Hope my husband doesn't mind. He likes hot press for some reason. Okay. And okay, out of everything, out of everybody, I think the ones in the end, the ones that work the most for their power and to learn it are the witches. Out of all the creatures, like werewolves, well, they have strength and all they have to do is train, as in, oh, let's train, let's do some running, and that will be okay. Like, that's physical training. But the witches, they need to learn spells and they need to learn all sorts of stuff. So I think in the end, in a way, the most believable ones are the witches, which is so funny. Okay, let's see how that part goes. But definitely, if I need to bring this palette, I need to, you see, quinacridone gold hue, I used it almost all. It's my most used color for some reason. It's so interesting. There's some colors you can see that I used a lot, and some colors not so much. So makes you wonder, why do I prefer certain colors over others? We will do some more layers in the end. Okay, let's see what we have here. And let's bring in some yellow. And then in here I'm bringing yellow, and in here I'm bringing some yellow. Okay. I'm wondering what the centers of the flowers should be. Hot press is smooth for line art drawing, but that's me. Okay. Okay, Johan wants me to actually bring only a few colors on my trip. That's gonna be very hard. Like, oh, I'm going to struggle so much. I probably should, right? That would stop me from like going overboard a little bit, as I normally do. But that's gonna be very hard. Like, not having all my colors with me, I'm gonna be like struggling. Even though I don't always use them, having them close by, that's always something for me. Okay. Okay. Yep. That's an okay flower. And then yeah, I'm going to use the Tundra Blue and the Tundra Rose for the big one. Let's see how that goes. because I wanted to have a slight gradient, right? I should have wetted the I should have wet the probably going to need a few more layers. But it already looks nice. I'm gonna add some black, some galaxy black, because that's gonna be nice. And you know what's happening is, the problem I had with hot press is the colors bleed outside the lines because there's nothing stopping the water to going outside the line, you know? There's nothing stopping it, and this is where I have a biggest problem with hot press. It's a bit of a struggle, to be honest. Okay. Maybe hot press is working better for loose watercolors. Maybe. I'm just assuming here. Okay. And now I need to very carefully go around this whole crystal cluster, and you can see how the water just likes to stick around. Let's see how it looks like when it dries, because that's when we're gonna see the real one. But I can already see the structure, right? And then I'm going to have lines with white gouache, because that's nice. Okay, and the last one, and then we're gonna come with some black and stuff. This looks like a galaxy. I'm almost tempted, instead of lines, to do dots. That would be fun. Okay, let's try some black watercolor. Black is usually quite transparent, but it will darken some parts, which is good. So it will not lose the actual color, I think. It just makes it more transparent. Okay. Changes the color slightly. And then adding some more of this to soften it up. And then I think I just need to let it dry so I can see what's happening. I think the middle needs to be like something opposite, like yellow or red maybe. Yeah, red should be here in the middle. I forgot about this flower. How could I forget that flower? How did it happen? How did it happen? I think I want some yellow. Yellow sounds nice to have. I really like the super granulating one. Look at this super granulation here. This is gonna look so cool. In a way, you do feel like a witch when you're doing these kind of colors, because they really do look nice. It's like you're mix and matching, just like any witch would. Okay. That one really needs to dry before I can do anything. The question, what should be the color for this one? What should be the color for the smoke? Now it's already 8:11. Wow. By the way, for me it's already quite late. This one should be definitely white, but the center should be something unexpected. What would be an unexpected color for the center? Maybe, I mean, I don't want to go with green, but I'm just assuming. I wonder if I can do not red. Should I go with this brown? Let's see how that looks like. This is a galaxy brown. And I'll be like, okay, why not? Just adding it there. And then I'm going to do a tiny gradient, as tiny as I can. You know, technically in the middle there are always seeds and stuff, so why not? Yep. Okay. And then that was the last one. I'm going to obviously add dots and whites and all of that stuff everywhere. The smoke is going to be something interesting. I'm adding this, and I'm really going to make it light, like really light pink. And that's okay, right? That's fine. You just need to give it a little bit of color. That's it. Didn't need to be all done. Okay. Dun, dun, dun. I mean, I meant is all we needed is some tint. Okay. And now you might think, okay, this looks way dark than what I'm expecting. This looks way weird. I'm going to close down all of these ones. Oh no, I don't need to close down all of these ones, but I do need to turn this around so I can put a little bit of the white gouache here. This is a gouache from Holbein, and it's actually permanent white, which is fine. I don't need a lot. But I do think I need a good brush. Oh, okay. Now the question is this dry? No, it's not dry. If I will go with gouache right now, it's gonna be a disaster. So what I think I need is I need to zap it with a heat tool. So forgive me if you're gonna hear some weird stuff here. So the decisions. Oh, Marlena, it's like, it's awesome, it's gorgeous, thank you. Decisions. So I can do kind of like clusters, or I can do lines. So let's try to see what happens if we do lines. I'm not gonna do lines from up down, but I'm going to do some clusters. And I really love this gouache. I think it's really nice, this Holbein gouache, because you might think, what? How Claudia gouache? It's really opaque. Like, you cannot get this with just white watercolor paper. Okay. It's really nice. Then I'm just flicking the stuff. Okay. My cat is coming, so soon we will have Mr. Hubmaster joining us, right? So anyway, I'm just adding this, and now let's see if we can add some highlights to some of the crystals. And maybe in the middle, something, I don't know. Dun, dun, dun. I'm just adding random highlights. Okay. Okay, that looks much better. And now I can do the whites here, And of course my cat is coming. He's coming. It's so funny. He's like, he's coming. Happy, do you want to be my witch familiar? Tell me the truth. Are you gonna be my witch familiar? Hi, Happy. Or you're not gonna be my witch familiar? I'm adding some dots here and there with the white gouache. So for the flowers, okay? And this is where I'm adding also here flowers. This one is in great need of dots, just to brighten everything up, okay? And then this one is to be more brightened up. And maybe this one, the big one. Okay. That already changes the whole thing, okay? That already changes the whole idea. I'm adding some different dots here and there that look like wisps of smoke, right? Magic is in the air. Are you happy? Okay. And then we can also have some more darker dots. Oh, oops. On the leaves. These are the leaves. The leaves always have these spots, so you know, magic cannot save it. Yay! So I think I'm done. I think I've added enough of things. I think one more thing here. I wanted to do this one much darker. This blue, and I think I was missing a red thingy there. Here. So imagine this is how witches brew their tea, and there's a lot of magic involved, there's lots of dots involved, and lots of crystals. And of course flowers are blooming everywhere. Okay. I think I've done it. This is the latest one. Let's see the big reveal if I'm taking the stuff. In the meantime, if you had any questions or any other things, let me know, because I'll be happy to answer. If you're watching this after what the live stream happened, thank you so much for watching till the end. By the way, thank you also to all the new people that have joined my channel and that have subscribed. I really appreciate it. And this is really nice to see that more and more people like my content. And I know that I mostly do live streaming, but you know, this is what it is at the moment. So yeah, wow, this looks really nice. Now that you see it with the border, this looks really nice. This, I really like it. So definitely I would recommend this kind of colors, that are a mix of two, like the super granulated tundra or schminke colors, or these ones that are handmade, because you know, in theory it saves you from having to manually go in and mix multiple colors in, and I think it looks really, really nice. Yeah, anyway, see you guys the next time. Okay, I will have to turn in right now, but really, really appreciate all of you watching me today.